This tariff situation is a very interesting one. I'm not completely sure how it works. I'd be lying to you if I said I did. I think what little understanding I have is that any Hollywood movie that works outside of the States, whether the UK, Canada, or any foreign country, will be tariffed at 100%. And I think it works something like the tariffs Trump has already enacted with the purpose to keep everything in-house, basically.
Film industry has been decimated by other countries taking them out, and also by incompetence, like in Los Angeles. The governor is a grossly incompetent man. He's just allowed it to be taken away from, Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't do very much of that business. They have the nice sign and everything's good, but they don't do very much. A lot of it's been taken to other countries, and a big proportion. And I'm actually going to meet with some because, there's some advantages, I guess, and I'm not looking to hurt the industry. I want to help the industry, but they're given financing by other countries. They're given a lot of things, and the industry was decimated.
To keep production within Hollywood or the U.S. in general, because like our manufacturing, we essentially outsourced everything, and it seems the same thing is happening to Hollywood itself. I guess you could say Hollywood is similar to what Detroit was decades ago, which was like the capital for manufacturing until everything got outsourced overseas for cheaper labor, leaving Detroit to become like a wasteland with barely any economic value. And the fear is that the same thing is happening to Hollywood slowly but surely. I've said before in videos that Hollywood used to be the mecca of entertainment. No matter how famous you were in your own country, you weren't a superstar until you made it to Hollywood. But it no longer has that global attraction and has been replaced with what I would say is Eastern content, and especially now anime. Now, before I address how I think this will affect anime, is that the problem won't solve itself just by having production done in the States. Even if that flipped overnight, we would still receive garbage movies. Hollywood has an activist problem. It's filled with non-creators but politically correct social agendas obsessed people. It's a problem they created for themselves, but instead of fixing it, which would include mass firings and gutting of the whole industry and a complete renting of current practices, they just seek talent elsewhere, especially after what just happened like a year or two ago with all of the union strikes for writers and actors, which couldn't be done at a more worse time because they have no leverage, because nobody is buying into what they want to create. So they lack a supply and demand argument on their side. Not just are they creatively bankrupt, but financially as well. The amount of red tape you have to go through, restrictions, just to make something creative in Hollywood nowadays is ridiculous. So many HR departments, micromanaging, politically correct quotas that are forced onto you. Because if you want your movie to be nominated for an Oscar, which everybody is always seeking, which is a litmus test if you're out of touch or not, you have to have a mandatory representation of different demographics of people in your movie. In other words, don't hire the best talent, hire whomever looks like they can fulfill checkboxes. You have to go through multiple consultants to make sure nothing is offensive in your script. Then deal with the current activist mentality that plagues Hollywood, constantly feeling entitled to everything at a moment's notice, etc., etc. And nobody feels like dealing with that nonsense. So instead of dealing with it, they just outsource everything elsewhere. Now me, someone who stopped watching modern day Western made movies, I don't really care what happens to Hollywood. They made clear I'm not their target audience anymore, but instead decided to go broke looking to cater to the non-existent modern audience. And that's when they shifted their focus to Eastern content. They realized interest shifted to Korean dramas and anime, which is why streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon are licensing a whole bunch of Korean dramas and anime. It's cheaper, cost efficient, and less of a workload. They can already pick what's popular somewhere else, and instead of creating anything original, they just decided to license and distribute Eastern content over here. Now, what they're slowly trying to do is gain some involvement in the creative process in Eastern content by having some influence on how things are made, whether it's live action or what Crunchyroll is now looking to do, partnering with Aniplex and foreign studios to make their own shows and animes, because the hot end talent is everywhere else. But with these tariffs, it will become very costly to do so, essentially disincentivizing partnering with foreign entities to produce entertainment. I think that's how it works. To me, it's kind of unclear. I could be wrong. Maybe that's not how the tariffs work and this is all just a retarded take, but if so, I wouldn't be mad. Already been concerned with Western influence in anime and Eastern content overall. We are way too activist minded over here, which would ultimately destroy it. If it somehow becomes more costly to license it through streaming, there's the pirate sites to go to, which would probably help help to filter out some of the bandwagon tourists from the medium anyway. By making it more costly to get involved with foreign projects, that means no Western influence to corrupt the cultural allure I love so much in Eastern content, and would also discourage foreign markets to stop catering to the Western or global audience and start solely focusing and prioritizing their own domestic audiences, which makes the art so appealing in the first place, something they haven't already noticed, but if this helps, I'll take it. I remember during the credit card payment processor drama, I thought to myself, I would rather have Japan keep its integrity intact with its anime rather than changing what it is at its core just to appease the censorship policies from these Western entities. And if that means no longer having it distributed over here to do so, but instead I would have to fly there directly to receive it, I'll take it. I would rather do that than have the quality deteriorated over time before my eyes just because of these Western influences, seeing what happened to Hollywood then happened to anime. So I would prefer that. Then I would definitely be cool with the tariffs disrupting Western involvement in Eastern content if there's no longer a monetary incentive. But that's all I have for this video, a real quick one. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. And like I said, I could be wrong. Maybe this is not how the tariffs work, so if any of you has more insight, feel free to say so. And if it is how it works or even close to it, how do you feel about it? I'm curious to know. And if you haven't already, check out my music on Spotify, links in the description. If you love those Samurai Champloo, Lo-Fi Miller Boom Bap vibes, then my music is definitely for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Free think. Peace.